Hello, welcome to the Opinionistics podcast. I'm your host, John Malone, and we may have other co-hosts joining us. But introducing our guest from San Francisco, we have Matt Ortiz.
Hi, Peter. Nice to join you today. It's a nice day over here in the Bay Area. How is it over there?
Well, it's looking pretty sunny, but sadly not for long, because we're reaching that time of the year.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Matt, tell me more. Tell me about what you do.
Yeah, so right now I do consultative marketing for a variety of advertisers, but during my time at Facebook, I managed the Apple and Google Ads partnerships. And what that means is that I was kind of their conciliary or their personal concierge to figure out how is the best way to attack ad strategy on the platform. And I did that for 7 years.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah, so
And
any like Apple or Google campaign that you've seen on the Facebook or Instagram platforms, like if I'm gonna call out some real quick, like the Don't Blink campaign for iPhone 7, the AirPods walk or stroll ad, those are all like kind of my handiwork, and I was in the room for those conversations.
nice, impressive resume, I might say.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah, like the only time I've ever been over, not even in your area, but specifically in Europe was for Cannes. Cannes is an amazing event, and there was this one time that Apple was actually featured. It's rare for an advertiser to get featured in Cannes since it's a film festival.
Oh, okay. No, no, not thought about that actually.
Mhm.
So, so what specifically within your role do you contribute in terms of marketing and advertisement?
Yeah, so I was much more on the technical side of things, and so what I was always tasked to do is find the next creative execution that we could possibly undertake with an ad. And so it was really kind of diving in really deep with product documents, talking to product teams and engineering teams across Facebook and Instagram to kind of figure out, well, what if we hacked this kind of ad format into something a little bit more unique? Could we push the envelope a little bit more? And so that was kind of my purview is how do we push this ads envelope a little bit further?
Hmm, incredible. And well, what do you like about what you're doing?
For me, it was always a new problem every morning, and I'm kind of like a problem solver. I like to strategize and think through like creative executions. And so the best part of the job was just waking up and saying, "Well, what are we going to do today? It's not going to be the same thing we did yesterday. It's never going to be the same thing that you do the previous day. But you have to use the same kind of skills that you've been building up this whole time, just in new ways." It's fascinating.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I also heard you've worked for Meta in some capacity.
Well, yeah. So in 2022, was it 2021? Facebook rebranded itself as Meta, and I was part of that rebrand. But I've always been a Meta Facebook employee all the way since 2015 before the rebrand. Um, the rebrand is kind of an interesting thing. I believe that it's a strong indication of how bullish we are, or Facebook is, as a company about this concept of a metaverse. Um, a lot of people get it a little bit wrong and they think that it just ends at like something like Second Life or something like an MMO experience. It's a little bit broader than that. And I think that shift in the name is actually indicative of how serious of a shift they are thinking about it. Very similar to how when if you're old enough, you may remember Facebook was primarily a desktop platform. Mobile browsing wasn't really a thing. And
Hmm.
Facebook made a hard pivot over to mobile apps. This is probably about 2012.
Ah, yes, of course. And as working in marketing and business development, what have been the
Mhm.
highs and lows?
Like what are the highs and lows of working in this industry?
Yes.
Yeah. Uh, the definite high of it all is when stars align, when you plan things out in advance and everything kind of goes like you have the contingencies in place and everything just goes smoothly, it feels like magic. What a lot of people kind of like see as magic in advertising or magic in production in general. Really, what it is they don't see all the minute little setup details that needed to occur, probably like 100 days before. All they see is that brief 5 second, 15-second ad, um, and it's like a magical like moment, but they don't see everything else. They don't see the setup, and so that's, in my opinion, the high is, watching people see ad creative or just normal creative in general, and kind of being amazed by the production aspect of it all, and blown away.
Great.
Yeah. On the lows, um, the job is very dependent on your interpersonal skills and relying on other people. It's not a one man show. A lot of arts and creativity in general is not a one man show. A lot of people think that it's like a savant that kind of like hacks everything together. That's very rare. In fact, I've only seen it maybe like once, and maybe I don't even have the correct context. Maybe I just didn't see the people behind the scenes. Um, but because of that, because of the interpersonal relationships, there are so many fault points that just cannot be planned for. And so you can have, like, I've had ad campaigns that were like $20 million, went up to Tor's desk. Tor is the CMO over at Apple. And he didn't like something in it, or Tim Cook didn't like something in it, and the whole campaign would just evaporate overnight.
Dang.
Just because, yeah. So it's a little rocky, if that makes sense.
Ah, of course. Now, if you started your own business, what kind of business would it be?
Surprisingly enough, I did start my own business. Originally before Facebook, I came from consultative marketing, and so I've kind of dabbled my toe back in there, specifically around event marketings. Because another little known fact before Facebook poached me over was I was the lead singer of a rock band, toured California for about 4 years. It was a blast. I left right as the industry was tanking in 2014, and uh, ever since leaving Facebook, I've been drawn back to that whole world.
Hmm. Okay.
So I'm doing the
Uh,
band again. I'm doing consultative marketing again. It's kind of like I went on this wild ride with Facebook, Meta, and now I'm better than where I was before, but in a similar direction that I was before.
Okay. Okay. Great. What's your favorite type of day?
My favorite type of day is probably a sunny, slightly overcast day with like a high of 75, with a nice ocean breeze. It's probably the best day I could possibly ask for. Nothing beats having a drink on a beach, or like a coffee as you're walking the beach in the morning.
Oh, yes, absolutely. What is something people are always surprised to learn about you?
Typically it's the band comment that gets a lot of people. A lot of people didn't realize that, like, not only, and when they think of band, they think like a garage band, like, oh, you were in high school, you were in college, and that's what you did. But no, it was a full-time business. I woke up at 6 a.m. every morning, to start like hunting down leads, hunting down possible shows, hunting down people that I needed to interact with, and then I would stay up till probably about 2 a.m. at that night, just like meeting people in the recording industry, like over drinks, and just chatting with them and just pitching kind of the vision of the band. Um, it worked out because we ended up releasing on iTunes and Spotify, did like an album. We actually signed an indie record deal before the industry went tits up. But like that's probably the most surprising thing that people find out is that.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I can certainly see that. What's your favorite life hack?
My favorite life hack is something that I actually picked up at Facebook, and I think anyone could apply this to their own life. It is this concept of ruthless prioritization using a 3x3 grid. The system is very simple. It's you draw a 3x3 grid with the x-axis related to success or impact of your like goals, whether that's financial or um, like relational, or whichever aspect. And then the y-axis is a difficulty axis. How difficult is it for me to accomplish this? And then what you do is you plot out all of your things that you are trying to do in a certain amount of time. It's always more than we have time for. And you start tackling the ones that are what we call in the industry low hanging fruit. So low difficulty, they're in the bottom right corner or in the bottom row, but high impact. And you just start with that and just kind of waterfall your way over. Just simply taking like 5 minutes out of your morning and just kind of organizing your thoughts before you get to the day will help you really just accomplish the things that are going to move the needle as much as possible.
Oh, that's really useful.
Yeah, it's a little
What?
Facebook hack.
Great. What is the best thing you bought off Amazon?
Oh, best thing I bought off Amazon. Oh man, what I that's that's actually a really good question. I would have to say the best thing that I bought off of Amazon was something I bought pretty recently. Um, it's this it's this it's oh what's it called? It's called a Cricut. Have you seen these things? They're like
Oh,
it's like CRICUT, Cricut.
yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, yeah. So that thing, kind of, we do a lot of parties at my house and stuff, and host a lot of people, and it allows us to really custom tailor a lot of the like decorations for the specific event. Like, I'm able to cut up like paper for birthday cards. Able to cut up like other materials. Beyond the music side of it all, we're like the house that I'm in with my wife. We're just a bunch of creators, so we have 3D printers. I got that Cricut. We do some welding, woodworking, kind of the whole shebang.
Nice. If someone wrote a book about you, what do you think its title would be?
Um, I'd probably get plagiarized for this, but I would love the title to be There and Back Again, A Journey into Tech and Out. But I think the Tolkien estate would probably be pretty upset with
Ah, yeah, fair enough.
that. But yeah, but like my journey through tech was an unexpected one. I had been doing tech marketing before, but getting picked up at Facebook was kind of very unexpected. They found me, I didn't find them. Um, and then rising through the ranks there and kind of like leaving in 2022, kind of feeling like I had finished my job there and just wanted to move on to the next chapter. But then finding myself back in the music industry again is just kind of weird for me.
Hmm, interesting. If your mind was an island, what would it look like?
If my mind was an island, it would probably be an island in the Mediterranean. It would probably be something like Mykonos or something like that. Just an island that never sleeps. It's always just kind of up, meeting people, engaging, firing off neurons, and just kind of like constantly active and going.
Okay, nice, nice. Would you rather be able to breathe underwater or have an agility of a cat?
I love the water. So probably breathing underwater would be my choice. I haven't surfed in a bit, and by a bit I mean a couple months, but I do love surfing. The water here is pretty rough in Northern California, but if you dip down into Southern California, it's kind of nice.
Oh, yes, it sure does.
What's it like over there for your surfing?
Well, the thing is, I live in a major city, like a couple of miles away from the coast. But when I
Hmm.
do go around the coast, it's not
Mhm.
as tropical or exotic. There is
It's
sand and there's sea, but it's
I heard it's
not
pretty
much.
rocky. I heard a lot of the coastline's pretty rocky and
Yeah,
craggy.
yeah, that's mostly in the north of the UK,
Got it.
mostly in
Mm-mm.
Scotland.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, but in the south, the beaches there are amazing. It's actually the
Yeah.
reason why many cities in the south are mainly profitable and have like big
Hmm.
revenues of GDP or whatever, because
Hmm.
most of its revenue comes from tourism along the coastal areas.
That's fascinating. Yeah, like so I've never been to the southern part of the UK. I've only been over to Dublin for a work trip in London. So that's it. It's very limited time over there. I only spent like maybe 2 days.
Ah, okay. What was the last book you've read?
The last book I read was this book by Simon Sinek. I don't know if you've heard of him, but it was a book called Start with Why. It's kind of one of the it's like a thought leadership managerial type of book. Highly recommend, but he's talking about kind of like what makes a company have enough driving culture behind it to accomplish great things. Like what's a weak mission statement, what's a strong mission statement.
Hmm, okay, nice, nice.
Yeah, I can unpack that if you'd like, but I think you should definitely check out that book, or at least go see some of his YouTube videos.
Absolutely. Where would you see yourself 20 years from now?
Hopefully, hopefully, actually still doing music, if the health would allow it. Probably still doing music. Hopefully with like a family with kids and stuff like that, and just kind of uh more or less living vicariously through my kids and just seeing the world through their eyes again.
Okay, nice. What's the most useful thing you own?
Most useful thing I own is probably um I mean, I'd say my computer, but that's I feel like such a cop out. It's like our gateway to kind of communication. I would also say my car as a mode of transportation, and the freedom that comes along with it. But if I had to like, flipping it on its head, and if I had to take only one thing with me somewhere, it would probably be my guitar. I have this little Dean Martin Jr. acoustic guitar. It's this nice travel guitar. It sounds amazing, and it's just something that would constantly be able to keep me company.
Okay, nice, nice. Do you so besides going to Dublin, have you ever traveled to any other place around the world?
Yeah, yeah, I did an Asia tour once, so I visited like Beijing, Guangzhou, like mainland China, but also like Seoul and Tokyo, and Singapore. So I've
Oh,
seen all of
cool.
that. Yeah, I never dipped down into Australia. I haven't seen Africa. And then I visited, here in North America, like most of the continental United States, Vancouver, and I actually haven't visited Mexico now that I think about it, but that's probably next on my list.
Okay, cool, cool. What were things you believed when you were younger?
The silliest things that I believed in younger when I was younger. Oh man, I think the silliest thing I ever believed in when I was a kid was the oh gosh, um was the belief that well, here in the US, like there was a saying that that stepping on cracks was really bad. And the song rhyme goes like step on a crack, break your mama's back. But what I was told by my older friends was that beyond cracks in the concrete, that you had to actually like step over the crack in a doorway. Otherwise bad luck would just follow you the rest of your life. And so I just remember being in grade school, like, first, second grade, um, and intentionally like making the biggest jumps over these like minuscule doorstep cracks like I was a vampire or something. It was the dumbest thing looking back on it. And I don't think I've ever told anyone that.
Dang.
I was an impressionable child. Like, first, second grade, like I looked up to like the kids in third and fourth grade, in a lot of ways, and like would just kind of accept at face value like what they would tell me.
Okay, cool, cool. What flavor of ice cream do you wish existed?
Do I wish existed? That's hard because like I feel like almost every ice cream flavor can exist. Um, I have an ice cream machine at home, and I've made homemade ice cream before in sherbets. Um, Gosh, favorite ice cream that I wish could exist.
Hmm, okay.
I would like to see someone attempt to make um a good tasting kind of like sour ice cream. So like a sour apple ice cream. I think that'd be a really unique flavor, especially if you can do it right, where it doesn't taste like sour milk per se. But just like kind of like a subtle sour taste. Like if you could take a sour apple Jolly Rancher or something and like convert that into ice cream. I don't know enough about the science behind it, but I'm sure someone who's listening probably could figure this out.
Yeah, I suppose. Have you ever had a paranormal experience?
Um, yeah, yeah, I've had some experiences that I would say I can't explain. Um, I've I've had I've had like visions of like bright light um out of nowhere, kind of like it's almost as if like you become blind. I know some people experience something similar when they stand up too quickly, but this was a like I was just standing normally and then everything went white. Um, like I've had those kind of moments. I've also had moments where like I've been in some pretty bad car wrecks in my life, and every single time EMTs would arrive at the scene, and they would just kind of like look at the scene and go, "Yeah, you shouldn't be alive." And so I've definitely felt kind of like guardian angels or whatever you want to call it um, are looking out for me sometimes.
Okay, cool, cool. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
If I could live anywhere in the world, where would it be? I'm a big proponent of constantly being in motion, and so I would never want to kind of permanently live in one place of the world. But the next place that I would love to live in would be would actually be like in southern France. Like I would love to just experience what southern France is like, um, like around like Venice and stuff like that, like getting over toward that direction, the Riviera area.
Hmm. Okay, cool, cool. What is the best way to start the morning?
with a run and a cup of coffee, preferably not at the same time. But that's probably my two favorite things to kind of get the blood going, get my brain going. I typically am a walker and talker, so I'm pretty animated, and to really get the creative juices going, like I'll need to move. So I'll do walking meetings all the time.
Okay, cool, cool. What is something you've learned this week?
Um, I learned that my wife says what she means.
Ah, of course. Ah, oh yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and that's actually my answer that I'm gonna stick with. Yeah, yeah. So, like some some women will say one thing but actually mean something else. Like they'll say they're fine and they're not fine. But
Hmm.
my wife is not one of those women, and it took me a lot of time to realize that. But I've started to realize that.
That's nice.
It is nice. It's just a little unnerving because it's just kind of like I'm expecting her to not mean what she says, and I kind of dig a little bit deeper and overanalyze it then. And she's like, "No, it's exactly what I said, Mac."
Oh, of course, yeah. Are you a cat person or a dog person?
I'm an animal person, but if I had to choose, I love dogs simply because I have a very fierce allergy against cats. I do love cats, and like I went to a cat event once, and I like wore two masks, and I just wanted to shove my face in the furriness, and I couldn't just because I knew that I would just start sneezing immediately. And because of that, I love dogs. We actually own two dogs. They're both rescues.
Oh, that's nice. Ah, I got one. Where was the most beautiful place you've been?
The most beautiful place that I have been, I really liked my time in Dublin. Like in the mornings, when it's not kind of like overcast at all, and it's just kind of like it's almost crystalline. Like looking at the water, it's like a mirror. Like it's something that I've seen in pictures, but seeing it in person is just mind blowing. It's a really beautiful city.
Okay, great.
I don't know if
What's
you have another opinion on it. I mean, you're in the UK, so I don't know if you've been to
yeah?
Dublin, but yeah,
Well, I've never been to Dublin, but I've heard great things about it. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's fair.
What's your favorite season?
I love summer. And if I had to get a little bit more specific, I love the early months of summer. So just after spring, before August. So like Like June is probably my favorite month.
Nice.
Yeah, it's not overbearingly hot, but it's not like as rainy as it is in April and May.
Yeah, of course. Who was the last person you talked to?
Um, I mean, other than my wife, the last person I talked to was probably my production manager. We were talking about this new song that we're kind of like working together, and she was actually like on my tail about it because I'm a little bit late on recording some vocals to send over some draft vocals.
Okay, nice,
I
nice.
woke up to a call from her.
Okay. And that is all we have for this episode. It was great having you here, Mac, talking about your works at Facebook, your
Yeah.
music career, and everything else. It's been amazing.
Thanks, Peter. This has been a great kind of hot take interview. It's been a lot of fun.
Anytime. And until next time, stay opinionated.